at lunchtime at 12 o'clock, they would get their big truck, an open truck, all hop on the back of the truck and head to the nearest pub and quickly have maybe 3 or 4 beers and then head back to the job again. But not late. They would get back in time. Otherwise, they would have lost some pay. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I don't know how it was arranged, but maybe it was an inside job. But happy memories of working with my brother. Now he was the real builder in the family, and he also worked in the metal trade to do with fitting and turning. But he didn't like the welding because he always used to get burnt. So that's the reason why he went into the lighter inside construction. But he did well. That was the early 90s in London, and he saved up his pennies. He used to send it back to my mother in Ireland, and she banked it. And then because he didn't want to get near it, otherwise he'd spend it on beer, HI. So eventually he met up with this young lady from Canada, and he moved over to Montreal and did quite well for himself. So that's the story. I went to Belgium, and I've been here 30 years, and I'm very happy. And I work in logistics. So that's my story, and I'm going to stick to it. Over.
Yeah, well, I thought you went to Belgium because of the good beer. I mean, the Belgian beer, the Abbey beers, are far better than the Guinness stuff from Ireland. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's all. Everyone has their own viewpoint. But anyway, just a quick one. You're very clear. You're very strong, and I see your antenna. I take it that the antenna is still in the air and in use. And what radio and equipment are you using, Gunter? Over.
Yeah, very good. Joking aside, there. The equipment here is an old Kenwood radio, the 870. Coupled to an amplifier, homemade amplifier, which is capable basically of 2 kilowatts. But I never run it at 2 kilowatts because I'm in a fairly tight subdivision here. The next neighbors are very, very close, and of course, with the antenna system, which is a 4-element stepper Yagi, is of course one of the better antennas as far as gain and is concerned. With the gain of the antenna and the amplifier, you have to be careful where how much signal you put out without causing problems with the neighbors. So I usually keep things below 1 kilowatt, and the antenna itself looks out into North America over my backyard, so not directly into one of the houses next door to me, and it's on an American commercial tower, telescoping tower. I don't know if you heard of U.S. Tower, one of the biggest companies in the States producing amateur towers. So it's a telescoping 23-meter, very, very well-built tower. And I can't say well-built because I worked in that trade. So when I looked at that, I said, I can live with this one. John, go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Well, once it passed your test, it was going to be good. So I'm looking at the Step IR, and I'm just wondering how long you've had the Step IR, and also have you ever had difficulties with the little motors? Over.
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, I don't know exactly when, but I got the antenna the first time Step displayed it in Dayton. I had a display with a motor and the translucent fiberglass pole where you could see the tape in and out. And I was very intrigued with the system. As a matter of fact, I was there with a good friend of mine that had more money. He had a bigger wallet than I have. And I said to him, Peter, that's the antenna we gotta get. And Peter bought one. So that was right after they came on the market and had the first displays in Dayton. I was the one that put the thing together for Peter. Peter wasn't handy in that thing. Being the mechanical trade that I was, I put it together. We put it up on the tower, and after about a year, I decided, well, Peter's is working so well, I'm gonna get one myself as well. But there were some issues with the antennas. We had to take both antennas apart several times to make some modifications, improvements, and so forth. So that was an issue in the beginning, but I think they have it all ironed out now. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. And when it's very, very cold in North America and Canada, do you just leave it on the same band? Over.
I, in general, move the band as little as possible, whether it's cold, warm, or whatever, because the more you move mechanical stuff, the sooner it packs it in. So I'm I don't, like, for instance, the new system, when you shut it off, it automatically retracts the bands. Every time you switch it on and off, the bands are retracted and all that. I don't believe in it. I don't trust mechanical equipment, so I move it as little as possible. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Well, that sounds like the right way to do it, because I have heard of a few guys, and they say they've totally disconnected it, so they just leave it on the same band, and if they have to move bands, they reconnect it up. I don't know how that's all done, but maybe it's just a switch where they disconnect the power. Now, I have a friend of mine that has a Tar Heel antenna. And twice, I think, the motor failed. But another pal of mine said that possibly happens because you're changing band while you're driving along. So my friend has to get another one. But I think the next time he installs the new one, anytime he changes band, and he mainly goes between 20 and 40, he'll just pull over with the car, change band, and then take off again. Over.
That's probably very, very wise on any antenna that uses such a mechanical system. And to completely disconnect it, that makes sense. Because if you, for instance, with the stepper, if you switch it off, it's still powered to the motors. They still have power to the motors. So, and again, of course, you can select that when you change frequency on your transceiver, the antenna will follow you. The antenna will automatically track you. And as I mentioned, if you switch it on and off, it automatically retracts and again extends the tapes. So when you pull the plug, it can't do any of that. And I think if you want to have many years without any problems, that's the wise thing to do. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. And of course, you have the trombones for 40 meters. And I have heard when the weather gets very cold and you want to just adjust it, the tapes going around the corners on the trombone, that's not ideal at all. So Victor Alpha 3, Golf Alpha, Oscar November 8, Echo India for ID. Gunter, over.
Yeah, very good, John. In 8 for Echo India, VA3GA is returning. Well, you touched on the sore subjects on the antenna. Mine, of course, had the trombone, but again, given the weather conditions here in the winter, and it is mainly in the winter that you would run into those issues, there were continuous problems with trying to get the tapes all the way across the radius and back out again to be resonant. So I gave up because, of course, that particular driven element is the driven element, period. So when the driven element fails, you have no antenna. So I figured it's not worth the trouble that you run in. I removed the trombone completely and just put a straight element in there. And since then, I have had very few problems. The trombone was a big issue, and I still have it here. If you like, I like to have it. It's yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll call over tomorrow and collect it, and I'll turn it into a monobander HI. But yeah, I have heard of people having troubles with with the trombone. Now, just one final question, and then I'll let another few guys. I'm sure they'd love to work you, but I've certainly enjoyed my usual conversation with you. What about for the UV? Have you done anything about the UV on the fiberglass? Over.
Yeah, of course. Well, you know all the soap points. I don't know. I don't know how you gathered all that bad information on the stepper antennas. You're absolutely right. The original paint shop, the green paint they use on there, of course, deteriorates quite badly with UV, especially in a country like where we are here. You know, Toronto is quite a ways south. We're actually, if you look from Belgium, we're at the same latitude than Florence in Italy. We get lots of sunshine here, lots of UV, and of course, as I mentioned, the original covering certainly deteriorates, and then the fiberglass material is exposed, and as soon as that happened, after several years, I had to bring the antenna down, remove all the elements, and I repainted all the elements, this time using a high quality paint from a yacht. I myself, by the way, I had a sailboat, a fiberglass sailboat, and I know how to deal with the gel coat, the paints on the sailboats, and there is a particular paint for the deck of a sailboat, which was always flexible, you know, so this paint has to withstand some flexibility without cracking, and also it has to withstand UV 100%. So I opted to get this kind of paint. Of course, it's a two-part, two-component paint. It's quite expensive, but it certainly made a big difference. Since I repainted the antenna with this particular paint, I have seen no deterioration whatsoever. And believe it or not, the paint, I choose a different color as well, which is much more pleasant to look at. The original green stuff against the sky is not that nice. I choose a color which is called Matterhorn white. So the big mountain in Switzerland, Matterhorn white, and it's a perfect paint. I don't know why Stepper hasn't learned to use that. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger, and of course because it's a light color, it's reflecting against the sun. And I notice I go to the North Africa from time to time, and many of the cars, especially the taxis, the bigger taxis, they're all white. So definitely when you're living in a place where the sun shines a lot, having a white colored car is ideal. And I do feel sorry for the people that walk around in black, but that's another story. Okay, I'm just going to mention one more thing, and then I'm going to go down and get a cup of tea. I'm also going to put my pedal cycle lights on charge because I'm up early to go to work, so I need good lighting, which I have, but I just need my the weekly charge that I do. Back in 1985, it must have been, I think it was, maybe it was April of 85, I hitched all the way from Montreal, going through, where you are in Ontario, and I went all the way to Vancouver via Edmonton and Banff, and over to Vancouver Island, up to the very top. I got the boat to St. Rupert, and then from St. Rupert I hitched all the way to Anchorage, and then I was able to hitch all the way back to where you are now. So that was a nice trip, and then I got a plane ride from where you are now all the way to across to Albany. So that was quite a few months of traveling and very enjoyable. So I just maybe I mentioned that to you before, but it was great and totally enjoyable, and I didn't have a mishap. The only thing was, and you know this, in the evening time, trying to hitch a ride, the mosquitoes, I won't say they were a killer, but they were painful, over.
They're getting quite large over here. I didn't realize, though we haven't talked about that. That must have been a beautiful trip. I'm very familiar with it. Of course, we didn't do it like you did. We did it in comfort. From here, we flew into Vancouver, hired a car in Vancouver, and then drove up to Jasper, Banff, all the way to Prince Rupert and farther. We went not to Anchorage, but we went up to Alaska, and then came back to Prince Rupert and took the inland ferry down to Vancouver Island. So I know exactly where you are, and I don't know about you, but I can only say the part after you leave the main tourist area between Banff and Jasper, things get a lot quieter. In that particular region, there are too many tourists, all Asians and what have you. But once you get past that towards Prince Rupert, it's quiet and beautiful countryside. Of course, lots of wildlife, I don't have to tell you, but you've seen the most beautiful part of the country, no question. The only problem is, of course, you can't live off the beauty of the country if you got to work for a living. That's why I'm here. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Well, it worked out quite well because I went to stay in the youth hostel. I'm not sure if it's still there now, but there was a big modern youth hostel up in Banff, right up the hill. I think the road was Quarry Road or something like that, and up at the top. And they gave me the opportunity of working in the kitchen, and that entailed obviously I had to do my work, but for the work I didn't get money, but I got to stay for free, and they fed me, over.
Well, you had a great time there. Were you all by yourself? I mean, you mentioned your brother married to the a girl there in Montreal now. By the way, that's quite a combination. Of course, I'm fully familiar with the French portion of Quebec and so forth, which I could never get used to. But why would he go to Montreal, as they say over here, and not to one of the more English-speaking provinces? Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Well, I think it was, it was her way or the highway. Speaking, and I'll answer your previous question now in a moment, but I was lucky. I married a lady from Charlie Novemberland, so that's Morocco, and that worked out well. But she lives here with me, and we go time to time to Morocco, and I have plans to set up a small little station in Morocco, but that's for another day. But yeah, he moved over there, and I stayed in Belgium. But the trip was great because it was the early 80s, and it wasn't as busy as it is now. So I remember on that trip as well, that 2-year trip, I went to New Zealand, and the Australians used to tell this joke about going to New Zealand, and you fly into Auckland Airport, and the captain says, "Welcome to New Zealand. Welcome to Auckland Airport. Please set your watch back 25 years." Over.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So you've done quite a bit of traveling, I gather, then. So you must have met your wife there in Morocco, then. And I assume she's not one of those ladies that wear black from head to toe. Go ahead.
Oh, negative. No. She's a totally 20th century and bright clothing and very modern. But 24 years now married, and we have the 2 harmonics, over.
Oh, very good. Well, they must be ready to leave the house, aren't they?
Well, one of them could leave the house, but the good thing about both of them is they don't irritate me. I don't know if I irritate them, but they don't need to move because they're not wrecking our heads. Over.
Yeah, well, as long as you get along okay. But as you know, it's a very difficult situation nowadays with young people, with the cost of real estate, rent, and what have you. And when you look at a big city like Toronto, young people simply cannot afford to live here. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Victor Alpha 3 Golf Alpha, Oscar November 8 for ID. Well, when I lived in London, and when I lived in London, I was living on a boat. And I used to. It was a canal that was turned into. No, it was a river that they had turned into a canal. So they had straightened it up, and it was in North London. So I lived on my boat, which I had bought, and at the side of the quay, I had a wind generator that used to give me all my power. Now that was in the early 90s. But I did want to buy a house with, place for, antennas and the like. But I knew on the money that I earned, I could never have that in the UK. And I did have connections in Belgium. So I came over to visit and do some, looking around to see what is possible. And they said, come over and give it a try. So when I came over, they said the best thing you could do is buy a caravan, live on a camping site, rather than wasting your money, in an apartment. See how you like it. And that's what I did. And I met up with other people, and they were really nice people. I met them because of satellite TV. And the man who I met, he was a bank manager, and his wife, she was a teacher, but they were very nice people. And I told them I was interested in buying a house. And they said, we'll have a look around. And they found the house that I'm living in now, and that was like nearly more than 30 years ago. And I remember when we went to see it, I said to him, "Oh, it's perfect for ham radio." And he said, "Shh, don't tell the people who are selling it." Over.
Well, that's great that you ended up with a house. I guess today you probably couldn't. I don't know what you do for a living, John, but the prices are totally out of reach for ordinary people over here to buy their own home. So, of course, we bought ours here 60 years ago. It was a completely different stories, but the opportunities for young people are no longer here. What do you do for a living, John? Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger, I'm in the logistics world, and I drive a truck for my sins. But the good thing is, the furthest distance I go is about 4 kilometers. I suffer no traffic jams, and I know all the people there, and I've been in that company for 28 years. So it's shift work. It's 6 to 2 and 2 to 10. And unlike many truck drivers, I sleep in my own bed every night. Over.
Well, that's great. I don't know your location there in Belgium, but you're far away from the big places like Brussels and so forth. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I'm about 80 kilometers from Brussels. I've been there a few times, but if I never went to it again, it wouldn't bother me. I'm about 50 kilometers northeast of Antwerp, and I have no interest in going there at all. So I live in a village called Ham, like ham radio, and it's just nice and quiet. I cycle every day to work, and regardless of the weather, even the coldest, snowiest day of the year, I'll still cycle. So I have a kind of a commitment to myself that regardless of the weather, I'll always cycle, because otherwise you'll always make an excuse, and you'll say, oh, it looks a bit cold, or it looks a bit wet. So I have 100% record of cycling to work. Over.
Yeah, that sounds good. You've got everything well under control. You keep busy, keep active, and you got a great job there. That close to your home, we don't have to deal with the horrendous traffic you get today in the big cities. Believe you me, if I had to do a job like yours here in Toronto, I think I would end up in some institutions for crazy people because it's so bad. As a matter of fact, we do have two cars here, but we seldom use them in the city. We use the public transit system, which is the subways and buses, rather than use the car because things are so bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Well, it's lucky because where I drive, it's in a compound. So it's a big, huge company doing goods coming in, goods going out, and about 200 gates where the trailers are put on and taken away. So it works well. And then we also had the luxury of my wife has always been a housewife. She never had to go out to work. Over.
Oh, that's great. Of course, you was able to bring up the kids the way you should bring them up, and I'm sure you got great kids indeed. What do they work already, or what's the story on your family there?
Yeah, my son is on his third year of computer science, and it shows that he's not so bad at it because on the first year, a lot of people fell by the wayside. So he's still there, and next week I'm bringing him to. He's going to have an interview to do with internship, working with a company, and that company, that'll lead to various possibilities. But he's very good at his big thing is writing software and coding. So although with the course that he had to follow, he had to do all the different things. But the one that he loves and he finds it so easy, which is really good, is the coding. And my daughter of 17, she's interested in graphics and drawing, but she's still she's in a school doing all that sort of stuff. And one more year to go. But I think after that, she'll go to college and do more. So. That's what both of them are up to, and until now, and I don't see anything going to change. They are very good, young people. Over.
Oh, that sounds very good. Looks like you're way ahead of the game. Your children worked out well, and your boy there is ready to head into the workforce. Indeed. And the girl there, well, she'll be okay if she goes to a college. Well, it's nowadays, you see all the difficulties that parents have with their children. It's a big issue. But one of the big issues I think is really that both parents go to work and they really don't raise their own children. I think that's the bigger problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Now, I didn't ask you about your people, but I think I presume everyone is going well. Over.
Yeah, of course. Similar like you, my wife raised our children. By the way, my wife is from Germany as well. Although we met in Canada, we met here by chance. And I guess formed a family, but our son now lives in Texas, and he's an orthopedic surgeon, and the girl unfortunately passed away, but we have grandchildren from here as well, so she did us well too, and so why I mentioned that the children were brought up in the family here by both parents, and it's an entirely different situation than what you generally see today, I believe. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm totally in agreement, and my children were brought up the way my parents brought up me and my people, and the way my wife's parents brought up her. So we were always fair, we were always decent, but we didn't tolerate bad behavior. Over.
Yeah, different times today when you look at it. Times have changed. There is no question about it, John. Well, I will let you go again. It's been very interesting indeed. You take care over there and have one of those good Belgian beers. Of course, driving the truck around, you got to stay clear of the alcohol. But on a Sunday evening, there is no problem having a good beer. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Well, maybe instead of the beer, I'll have a nice strong a cup of black tea, and I'll have one of the Moroccan buns that my wife makes. She makes them in a batch, puts them in the freezer, and then I take them out as needed in the evening. But it's always a pleasure. It's amazing. Always when I speak with you, it's a long conversation. It's an interesting conversation, and I feel that I could talk to you all night. By the way, your signal has really it's got stronger. You've come up to 10 over 9, so you're a terrific signal. Looking forward to our next conversation. And I just made a recording of it, and I'm just going to put it on my YouTube channel. I'm sure you won't mind being heard around the world, and I can send you a link to it so you can listen to how you sounded like in Belgium. So back to you, Gunter, for a final. But it's always great hearing you, and you're a terrific signal in Belgium. Victor Alpha 3 Golf Alpha. Oscar November 8 Echo India. Till the next time, Gunter, and bye-bye from Belgium. Over.
Very good, John. At the station in the background, just stand by. I'll be with you in a moment. No, I don't mind about YouTube. As a matter of fact, John, I don't watch much television anymore. I am pretty well fixated on YouTube. I like all the videos and people that put content on there like you. Much more interesting than the ordinary the television programs we have over here. So I see no problem at all with that. And your signal held up very well indeed. You're, I think, 15-20 over 9 most of the time. I don't pay that much attention. It's basically like a local QSO here. There is no interference whatsoever. John, you take care. We'll see you later. ON8 Echo India, Victor Alpha 3 Golf Alpha.
Yeah, bye-bye, Gunter. Till the next time, and thank you very much.
See you later, John. And who was the station in the background? Go ahead. 3 November.